It is time to get started this morning. Everybody that's here in the rain today. Trust there'll be others coming as we keep moving along. A couple announcements to make on our sick list. Heard from Sonny night before last. He was still in the hospital. He was hoping to get out yesterday. Whether or not he did, I don't know. I did not hear anything yesterday. But and also we found out this morning that Pat Busby had fallen and was in the hospital, and she's in rehab now. So remember Pat Busby at this time, and as she had taken a spill, and she is in rehab at this time. Continue to remember the various ones on our sick list. Kyle Hinton, friend of Brittany's, he does have some health issues. I understand he did have a heart attack. And so remember him. Of course, Trish, you ever get an update on your stuff? It was, last I heard, everything was looking good.
Well, that was the blood work I had done. I haven't heard from the DNA test.
Okay.
That could be any time. I'm surprised we haven't heard already, but we did have holidays.
Yeah. And remember Debbie's brother Craig, his health issues, and the others on the list here, several different ones. Edward has a birthday on the 24th. I think he'll be, what, 6? I think he'll be, yes, I think 6. Boy, that little fella's growing up. And I don't know if he'll ever be over 3 foot tall or not, but he'll be 6 anyway. But anyway, happy birthday to him. There will be a marriage seminar, marriage retreat over in Tennessee, over in Gatlinburg, Cedarville area. This will be on February the 15th through 19th. We'll put this here back there in the back if anybody wants to go up to the mountains for that. And, any other announcements this time? There will be in March the area-wide singing over at in Dublin at Hillbridge at that congregation. So keep that in your thoughts if anybody wants to attend that. Any other announcements we get started here this morning?
In prayers, that they're still, I think that as of yesterday, they would have restored power to all but about 160.
They're getting there, but sure, they sure took a hit.
There's so much destruction.
Yeah.
It's going to be a long recovery.
Yeah, they took a big hit with it the other week. She sure did. Okay. Continue to remember them as well as others that were affected by it as well. Anthony, you lead some word of prayer to start.
Let us pray. Most kindly, Father, we thank you for this time we've come together to study thy word. Perhaps the things that are presented to us that we'll be tentative to listen to and add to everyday life. And Father, we pray for this morning for those who are affected by the disaster in Griffin. We ask that might something that we may do, or we just ask that things be put back into normal. And Father, we pray for this church and this community. We always ask that we be a bright side and light to those who are around us. We always have a mindset to spread your gospel to whoever we come in contact with. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you. We've been doing a series on You Are a Christian. And for the most part, what we have gone over the past few weeks is pretty much very basic information. Stuff that most of us already knew or should have known. Certainly if you're someone that's fairly new as a Christian, gain some valuable information. But even those who have been Christians for a long time, it's good to review and go over this sometime, just as a reinforcement, a reminder, a wake-up call sometimes, if you will. And so that's kind of what we've done for the past several weeks. We're nearing the end of this particular session or series, but I think it's been very important for us to go over this as we're trying to somewhat set an agenda, if you will, for the congregation as we strive to grow and strive to become more and more taking advantage of the opportunities that exist. Today we're going to be looking at something that we sometimes hear, attendance at the assemblies of the church. In other words, attendance. And we certainly understand that there are situations that arise that people cannot be present. You know, like Pat's in the hospital and in rehab. Sonny's been in the hospital. Bill was sick last week. Now, things happen and that a person cannot be present. And God knows that. And that's understandable. But there's certainly a difference in our not being able to attend for legitimate reasons as opposed to us simply choosing not to attend, putting other things first. So there is a difference there. And we're going to look at some of that kind of stuff this morning. So, we're going to focus the next few minutes on why each of us as Christians, why we should attend every service that we possibly can of the local congregation. And we're going to go over some reasons for that. We're going to be looking first of all at Hebrews 10, 24 and 25. Hebrews 10, 24 and 25. And let us consider one another to provoke unto love and to good works, not forsaking the assembling of ourselves together as the manner of some is, but exhorting one another, and so much the more as you see the day approaching. So often, whenever we get to Hebrews 10:25, we'll read or quote that verse, but so often we'll leave out verse 24. And really, verse 24 is very important with verse 25. Because verse 24 really sets the tone for verse 25. Why should we attend every service that we possibly can? Let us consider one another. There's one reason right there. To consider one another. Stir up, yeah. Yeah, stir up. Be there for one another. Provoke, stir up. And to provoke unto love and to good works. So verse 24 gives us two or three reasons right there within that verse as to why we need to assemble every time we can. And, it's not necessarily just about me, myself, and I. It's the good that we can do for one another. Then, of course, in verse 25, not forsaking the assembling of ourselves together as the manner of some is, but exhorting one another and so much more you see they approaching. Okay? But, not forsaking the assembling as the manner of some is. Again, there's a difference in a person who simply cannot attend. It happens. And the person who chooses not to attend. How often in any congregation do we find people who cannot attend today? Maybe the weather's too bad and you got the same weather tomorrow. They can't attend to worship God, but they're able to go to work tomorrow. Or how many times you got a family of 7 or 8 people, 5 people, whatever it may be. You got a sick child. Somebody's got to take care of the child, obviously. So the whole family stays home and takes care of the kid. Could not some of them attend? Again, every situation may be different, of course. But do we sometimes look for excuses or use these as opportunities to justify our not attending a particular service? Habit, yeah.
Habit of some.
As a habit. It becomes a habit. If you miss that first service, sometimes it's very difficult But then guess what? It gets easier and easier. And next thing you know, you don't pay any attention to it. I don't know of anyone in particular who woke up one day and decided, well, I'm no longer going to be a faithful Christian. It becomes kind of a gradual process. A drifting away, that's right. It's a gradual process. So, one reason is, and there are many, many reasons, of course, but one reason is that we are able to, as we see in verse 24, be there one for another. The encouragement. Whenever we consider, just here at North Macon, the singing, I really think our singing here, personally, I think it sounds good almost all the time. But how much better is it when we have 50 or 55 here as opposed to 30? A lot of difference. A lot of difference. I know, I think it was 2 weeks ago. It wasn't last week, I think it was the week before. Someone was watching online, and they made the comment. In fact, Reggie was back there with the equipment back there that day. And during the service, it was one of our bigger weeks, Reggie done a shot with the Zoom or however it does it, of the group here. The comment was made, it looked like a good crowd, and it made a difference. So it's about, not just about us, it's about being here for one another, setting the right example, encouraging, exhorting one another. So more to it than just simply saying, okay, I'm going to go today or I'm not going to go. There's a lot involved with that. But also consider Matthew 18 and verse 20. Matthew 18:20. Have you ever had an appointment with someone that was maybe well known, maybe famous, maybe highly respected, or maybe not? But whoever you may have had that appointment with, maybe it was a dinner engagement or just a casual visit with that individual, someone that was considered to be important. To what effort would we make to be able to maintain that appointment with that prominent person? We'd probably go above and beyond to try to be there for that, meet that person, unless something unforeseen happened. And of course, that could happen, of course. But think about when we assemble. You've got some very important people here. You really do. You got Daniel Cratley. I mean, how much more important can you get to Daniel Cratley? And my man over there. You got Anthony. How much more important can you get to Anthony? William. Debbie Taylor just come in. Boy, look how important she is. And everybody in this room. But that's not who I'm talking about. That's not who I'm talking about. Oh, every one of us are important. But notice Matthew 18 and verse 20. For where 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name, there am I in the midst of them. The Lord is here. He's gathered with us. And do we not want to be in a meeting with the Lord? Consider the multitudes when he walked upon this earth that would gather at the gatherings where he would be. The feeding of the 5,000 with the loaves and the fishes. The multitudes. Do we not want to be with the Lord? That's another reason for us to attend every service that we possibly can. Again, there's exceptions. Of course, things happen. But the Lord is there. He is with us, and he has promised to be in the midst of his disciples when we gather in his name. He's here with us. That should be something for us to think about. At State Farm, y'all sometimes have these big old meetings where the big dogs are there and everybody's sitting there listening. Everybody thought, "Oh, I wish he'd hurry up and get ready to go." Those type of meetings. Jimmy, you had them with the coffee folks.
Almost every day.
And she's holding the meeting. Any organization has these type of meetings. Years ago, a very dear friend of mine, he was actually a supervisor with the Flowers Bacon Company in Winston-Salem. They had a change of the president of the company. And this new president had a big meeting with all the management folks. Norman was there, and Norman's mother was very, very ill at the time. And he was driving from Winston-Salem to North Wilkesboro to visit his mom and then going to work at 4 o'clock in the morning. They had this meeting. Well, he dozed off during the meeting. He was gone. The new president kind of took issue with that. So instead of talking to him, finding out why, they didn't fire him, they demoted him. They put him inside the bakery rolling bread around with a hand truck. Well, he wasn't going to do that. So he did what they wanted. He quit. That's what they wanted him to do. But, it wasn't he wasn't interested. He had a lot on him. And he dozed off. But we are in the presence of the Lord. Are we paying attention? Do we realize who's here other than just us? Do we cherish this time that we are assembled together? It's a special time. Very significant and very important. And then let's also notice Acts chapter 10, 34 and 35. In Acts 10, (34 and 35). Then Peter opened his mouth and said, "Of a truth I perceive that God is no respecter of persons, but in every nation he that feareth him and worketh righteousness is accepted with him." Do we have the right to think that it's the responsibility of everyone else to be present, but not me? Well, I may not be there, but there'll be enough there they won't miss me. That's not true. That's not true. Especially someone who is here at most every service, and that person is not present, stands out like a sore thumb. Last week Sonny wasn't here. Last Sunday morning, of course. Sonny's usually the first one in the parking lot, or right behind Jimmy. He's in Bill. They're the first ones here typically. Bill wasn't here last Sunday. It was noticed. A person that's not here, that's normally here, boy, are they missed. And it's easily recognized. But when you, especially in a small congregation, when a family chooses not to come, they're missed. It's noticed. And a lot more is involved than just an empty seat. And again, sometimes it can't be helped, of course. But think of the example that person or that family may be setting, that person, the statements they're making to those around them, to the neighbors, whoever else it may be. We are family. We are a spiritual family, and God expects us to be present if we possibly can. It's really a privilege to be able to be here, and we should cherish this time that we have together. look forward to this time together for a variety of reasons. The learning opportunities, but the fellowship we have one with another. So, you know,
Because they didn't have nice vehicles,
Right.
paved roads, air conditioning, padded pews. They didn't have none of this, but they strove to be there.
exactly. I've mentioned before, I saw a picture on the internet, and it's been a while back now. I don't know if it was India or where, one of these foreign countries. They were basically meeting almost like under a tent type setup, or maybe some kind of a shelter. Water in the flooded season, water on the ground. And they're sitting on wooden benches, they didn't have the padded, and their feet in the water. But they assembled, they gathered. It took an effort to do that. You know, this morning, you may have noticed a little bit chilly in here. It's getting better. It's not as cool as it was 30 minutes ago. But someone had flipped the switch to the heater outside, so the heat wasn't working. So a little chilly in here. There may be those, and I'm not saying it's anybody in this room, maybe not, I don't know. I'm speculating when I say this. Might be those who knew, well, the heat's not working. It's going to be too cold for me to be there today. And some would use that as an opportunity not to come. But have you ever noticed, and I say this very, very seriously, have you ever noticed, and I have over the years, that the individuals who maybe you would think, this person, whoever he or she may be, this person probably has the best legitimate reason of anybody not to be there. Bingo, there they are. Almost there, they're going to be there. It's amazing how that works. But, you know, God is no respecter of persons. He doesn't expect one person to attend and the other person is okay not to. We're held accountable for the choices we make, the decisions we make. You know, and ask each of us, this is a personal question for each and every one of us, self included. If every member of the congregation were like me, what kind of congregation would this be? And that's a good question to ask ourselves. Provoking. Am I doing what I can? Am I setting the example I need to set? Do I have my priorities in order? Fair question. Again, it's a personal question. No, nobody needs to answer out loud or anything, but personal question. And more importantly, is the Lord pleased with my faithfulness? Is God pleased? I can't answer that question. It's a self-examination question. You know, notice Ephesians 4 in verse 16. Ephesians 4:16. From whom the whole body, fitly joined together and compacted by that which every joint supplieth, according to the effectual working in the measure of every part, maketh the increase of the body unto the edifying of itself in love. You know, we certainly should be concerned with the encouraging, the edifying one another, the building one another up. The body fitly joined together. We are the body. And each part of the body is important. If in our physical bodies, do we have physical parts that are not important. Now, we have parts that we can do without. You know, people sometimes have the gallbladder removed and various things. Yeah.
Or it's stronger.
Yeah.
To compensate.
Very true. If the part of the body wasn't important, I don't think God would put it there. We're part of the body, the spiritual body. Every part is important. There's not one person here more important than the next person. I don't care who we are. Those who teach the classes certainly are important. Those who lead the singing are important. Those who lead the prayers are important. Those who, back when we were doing the communion before the COVID hit the other way, those who fixed the communion loaf, the bread, that was important. Those who filled up the cups, that was important. Don't tell Julie, but she cleans the building. That's important. That's very important.
And you know when she's done it.
And you know when she's done it. That's exactly right. But I come in, I can't find nothing. I know where I left it. She's done it, straightened it up. No, but you're right. You know when she's done it. In an organization, a corporation, you got that guy called the CEO who thinks he's something many times. That's not always true. Sometimes they're good folks. And you come on down all the way down to the groundskeeper, to the custodian, trash man. That trash man is just as important as the CEO is. Absolutely. How many of us wants a job as a septic tank repair person? Uh-huh. Well, back last summer, about August, I was glad to see one. Cost me $2,800. I was still glad to see that person. Everybody's important. Spiritually, everybody's important. I don't care who we are. Our children, they're important to the congregation. The older folks like Jimmy are important to the congregation. We're all important. I don't care who we are. And we all have different talents, different things that we can do. So, build one another. Do what we can, be there for one another. And support and encourage one another to the very, very best that we can.
Fitted jointly together. I think of a puzzle.
Yeah.
The puzzle's not complete or finished till all the pieces are there. And we're not all complete till we're all here and fitted in.
And that's a good example. That's exactly right. It's a very good example. We're all fitted together. When you pull in the parking lot, I do anyway. When I pull in, usually there's 2 or 3 people here at the time. Most of the time, if it's Sunday morning, Jimmy's always pretty much here. Bill's usually already here. Most time he's already inside the building. Andrew's either just pulling up or has pulled up. And I told Andrew he's speaking this morning. He parked in my parking space. But, when I pull in, I scan. He's here, he's here, he's here, she's here. And you recognize who's not here. That's normally here at that time. Look forward to that time together. Let's notice also 1 Peter 2, 1 and 2. 1 Peter 2, 1 and 2. As newborn babes, desire the sincere milk of the word that you may grow thereby. And I missed verse 1. Wherefore, laying aside all malice and all guile and hypocrisies and envies and all evil speaking, as newborn babes, desire the sincere milk of the word that you may grow thereby. we need to be spiritually fed. How many of us ate something this morning, whatever it may have been? Most probably did. Some don't eat breakfast. Some quit eating eggs at 40 cents a piece. I'm going to go to Cracker Barrel and order me a meal with 3 eggs and tell me to bring my eggs whole. Don't break them. Just give me my eggs. You know?
Where you get the whole egg.
Get the whole egg, that's right. But you know, during the day, even if you didn't eat breakfast, you're going to eat something at least one time a day, maybe more. Different people eat at different times. We need to be fed. We need to be spiritually fed as well. We need that spiritual diet. And we are able to do that, certainly with reading and studying on our own. But look at the opportunity we have to discuss things back and forth. The involvement that we have, one with another. I've often said, and I firmly believe, the Bible class is of great importance. And those who choose not to attend Bible class, they're missing a great spiritual meal. Not because of the teacher, whether it be me or anybody else, but because of the spiritual food they're missing. They need to be fed. We all do. So this is a very important time.
Like you're saying, you can discuss the matter.
Absolutely.
You know, you object.
Absolutely. It does. And certainly, when we come together, we encourage one another, we talked about. We'll be able to be fed spiritually. But it's also a way of us being able to demonstrate or express our thanks to God for this opportunity together. Be thankful that we can assemble. You know, 3 years ago when this COVID thing started in March, 3 years ago, we were told we couldn't assemble. Then you had little small groups as all was allowed. Well, I think they violated their constitutional rights when they did that. But it is what it is. Absolutely. Absolutely. And so, you know, be thankful that we can assemble. Look at places around the world where gatherings like this are, by their laws, illegal. And people are risking their lives to assemble. And yet we can do it freely. And so often we don't take advantage of that opportunity that's there for us to do so. You know, my question on the email Friday was, what 2 chapters in 2 Corinthians deals with giving? Almost everybody answered it with the same answer. Chapters, Debbie told him, 8 and 9. Yeah, 8 and 9. But there are other verses and chapters in there as well that deal with giving. 1 Corinthians 16. We know, upon the first day of the week, we gather together for the opportunity to break bread, as we see in Acts chapter 20. And then also in 1 Corinthians 16, 1 and 2, upon the first day of the week, we are to lay by in stores we've prospered. So it's an opportunity, part of our worship service, to gather, to break bread, to give of our means, pray together, sing songs of praise, and be involved in the teaching aspect. These are opportunities that some people around the world would cherish, would love to have. And we're blessed that we can do it all the time. And think of the facility here. You know, it's been mentioned many times over. And I don't know who all was here. I think it was 1985 or something like that. They built that little side room there. Mid-'80s, whatever it might have been. I don't know who all was in the planning on that. I know Bud Aldridge was very much involved with it. Who else, I don't know. But whoever those folks were that had the foresight and the wisdom to come out to the country on Bass Road, it's kind of like country back then, and buy these 8 acres of land. We need to be thankful to those folks because we're enjoying the blessing of that. And then to construct the facility that has been constructed, we're fortunate. Absolutely. Absolutely. Be thankful that we can assemble. Hey, the acoustics in here, that's a fancy word. Those acoustics in here are great. And boy, the voices just carry in here. You know, you go to some facilities, you may have 100, 150 people. Can't hardly hear each other because of the acoustics. But boy, they're great in here. So, you know, we're very blessed. And we need to be thankful for that and take advantage of these opportunities that we have to assemble, to be together, to worship God. What a privilege, what a blessing that is. And so we certainly need to be grateful for that. And, of course, the various aspects of our worship service are very, very important. So what we've looked at this morning is some reasons why we should attend every service that we possibly can. Now, we're going to focus a little bit on what the consequences are when we fail to take advantage of the opportunities that exist. Well, James chapter 4, most of you already know this verse. In James 4 and verse 17, wherefore to him that knoweth to do good and doeth it not, it is sin. Again, we're not talking about the person who can't. There are those who can't attend. Is it a good idea for us to assemble at the times that have been designated, whatever those times may be? It is. Wherefore to him that knoweth to do good and doeth it not is a sin. The Bible tells us if we don't take advantage of that opportunity, it's sinful. A lot of people don't consider that, don't think of it that way. Well, I attended services on Sunday morning. I don't need to come on Wednesday night. I don't need to come on Sunday night or whatever. I attended services on Sunday morning. I don't need to come to Bible class on Sunday morning. Is it good to do these? Your oversight, your elders of a specific congregation, whatever it may be, they set the times. And we need, if at all possible, to assemble at those times. Now, an alarming thing that I'm seeing more and more throughout the brotherhood is congregations who are discontinuing the Sunday evening services. We're seeing more and more of that. $100 years ago, and I wasn't there. Anthony was. He remembers it. When they had a gospel meeting, they went 2 and 3 weeks. Then somewhere along the way, they got cut back to a week. Sunday to Friday. Well, Friday's Friday night football. We can't go on Friday night. We got football. So we cut it from Sunday to Thursday. Well, then we cut it to Sunday to Wednesday. And now we're going Sunday to Tuesday, or we may do Friday night, Saturday, and maybe Sunday. See, over the course of time, the gatherings have shrunk, gotten smaller. You know, the gatherings have gotten smaller. That's choices that individuals have made. And now we're seeing more and more congregations discontinuing Sunday evening services. Well, there are not that many here on Sunday night anyway. That would be an excuse they would say. You may have a congregation of 200 on Sunday morning, 25 or 30 on Sunday night. Well, look, we took 200 on Sunday morning. We got 25 here tonight. You know, it's just not worth the time anymore. Well, the 2 or 3 together. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. But we don't need to get caught up in the traditions that mankind is going to. We need, when I say this, I'm talking about North Macon. We need to make sure that we are, to the best of our ability, serving God as He expects us to, and that we are a faithful congregation that He expects us to be. And that takes involvement on everybody. Very important. Absolutely. 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 Well, our time is up for there this morning, so we'll stop there. We'll conclude this little section next week and move on to the next one. But I think it's time well spent. This is basic information. Nothing new here. Basic information. But sometimes we need to be reminded. All right, we'll stop right there. If you ain't ready, you got 15 minutes to get ready.